the passing of the Chinese martial tradition into the West is really pretty famous. You know, Bruce Lee, everybody knows Bruce Lee. And there's an urban legend that he was almost killed because he had decided to teach, the ancient Chinese secret to the Guai the ghosts, the white people. The Chinese didn't like that. See, they had a secret society, and they wanted to keep that well-being information to themselves because they hoped the ghosts died. And why did they hope the ghosts died? Because the ghost people, that would be the British Empire, pursued hundreds and hundreds of years of exploitation when the British was a colonial empire. That is business model 1.0, slavery, drugs, piracy. This was what the British Empire developed for hundreds of years, plundered the earth, enslaved the people. Plundering is piracy, right? Slavery. Oh, and they were big into the drug business, as we're going to see as we go through the rest of this podcast. But when you piss on people long enough, when you rob people long enough, when you just outright kill them, when you you can back a little squirrel into a corner, and that little squirrel will bite your hand off to survive. And we are human beings. So the Western powers, led by the British, beat up on the Chinese for so many hundreds of years that finally they rebelled. And Chairman Mao said, you got a right to rebel, kind of like the United States of America, as we're going to show there's an interconnectedness of the thinking that led the Chinese people to rebel in a communist direction and led the American people to rebel in this capitalist direction. These are the Yin Yang. This is the two paths of throwing off the colonial yoke that was put upon the world by the British Empire. But they're not gone. We've just gone to 2.0, and that's what we're going to be talking about in podcasts to come. Right now, we're just going to talk about the interconnectedness of British Empire 1.0. And here we have the Chinese, millions of people in the streets. It was a people's revolution. They threw out the old ways, which what they were saying when they threw out the old culture, they're talking about the feudalistic, they even said it was the feudalistic culture. The feudalistic idea that holds one race superior and another inferior, as Bob Marley sang so eloquently. So the Chinese revolted against empire. They revolted against feudalism. They revolted against an organization of consciousness within which the vast majority of the people lived miserable, unhealthy lives. And a small group of people at the top of the pyramid, take a look on your US dollar. You see that pyramid on there? Pyramid power? Hey, if you're at the base of the pyramid, life's not too good. But if you're at that peak, let me tell you what that is. Money flows uphill and shit flows downhill. And that's the business model of the empire. So it's right on the dollar bill. Why is that? I have to ask myself, if that's the business model, that money flows uphill and shit flows downhill, why is that pyramid on the dollar bill? What kind of symbol is that? Who's zooming who on this deal? When the Chinese said in 1949, we had enough, we're getting rid of all this, no more feudalism, no more empire, no more colonialism, we're going to have a new experiment. And we watched that, and I think it's just fantastic, having been to China dozens and dozens of times, and having devoted my life to the study of Chinese philosophy, I have the highest level of respect for the Chinese people and for Chinese culture. So loving Chinese philosophy and having gone there, I thought, oh, wow, China's a Shaolin temple. No. When the Mao took over, much like our progressives here, he not only threw off feudalism and threw off empire, but he deep-sixed all spirituality that was a deep tradition in China, and he cut the Chinese people off from their spiritual roots because he wanted to have an all-powerful state. Sound familiar? Like the United States of America is today. Because as the Yin Yang symbol tells us, one thing turns into its opposite.